Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're trying to piece together the puzzle that is Samsung's next flagship phone, the Galaxy S26. We're going to cut through all the noise and dig into the latest leaks to see what's really going on.
Okay, so let's just dive right into this because honestly, the story of the S26 is turning out to be way more complicated than anyone expected. What started out looking like a pretty predictable, almost boring update has suddenly taken a really interesting turn.
To really get a handle on what's happening now, we've got to rewind a little bit and look at those initial rumors. You know, the ones that painted a pretty straightforward picture for the whole S26 lineup.
Yeah, so the consensus was pretty clear. Samsung was just going to play it safe. We were all expecting a pretty standard incremental update, not much more than the usual processor bump you get every year.
But here's where things get really interesting. What if all those early, kind of boring rumors were just wrong? Because a whole new set of leaks has just dropped, and it completely flips the script, starting with the model that most people usually overlook. And that brings us to the S26 Plus. This was supposed to be the most predictable phone of the bunch, but it really seems like Samsung might have some very different plans for it. So check this out. This is really the core of this news story. Everyone expected the Plus to just stick with its usual 6.7-inch screen. But nope, a recent leak suggests it's going to jump up to a massive 6.9-inch display. Now, think about what that means for a second. That would make it the exact same size as the super premium Ultra model. This is huge. It completely repositions the Plus and the lineup. You could get that giant, immersive, Ultra-sized screen experience without forking over all that cash for the actual Ultra. This is a potential game changer, and maybe it's Samsung's new strategy to go head-to-head with Apple's biggest phone. So, okay, if the Plus is growing up to match the Ultra size, what does that mean for the top dog? Well, for the S26 Ultra, the leaks are pointing to a strategy of refinement, not revolution. They're focusing on some key and, frankly, long overdue tweaks. All right, let's take a look at the leaked camera specs here. When you scan down the list, most of the hardware looks like it's being carried over. But multiple sources are now agreeing on one key upgrade. Take a look at that last line right there. A new 12-megapixel sensor for the 3x telephoto zoom.
And believe me, this isn't just a minor detail. Samsung has been using that same 10-megapixel sensor for years, and it's been a bit of a weak point. So getting a new, hopefully larger 12-megapixel sensor could mean a really significant improvement in that mid-range zoom quality. We're talking sharper details, better low-light shots, the kinds of photos you actually take every single day. And there's another number that's been causing a bit of a stir, 60 watts. This is the rumored new wired charging speed for the Ultra, which is a pretty big jump up from the 45-watt charging we've seen on its predecessors. So just imagine, you pair that faster charging with a huge 5,000 milliamp hour battery and the next-gen Snapdragon chip, you're looking at a phone that can power through a heavy day and then get topped up in a fraction of the time. This could be the most meaningful charging upgrade we've seen on Samsung's top phone in years. But one of the most significant changes we're hearing about isn't just for the fancy Ultra model. Nope, this one's rumored for the entire S26 family, and it's something Android users have been waiting for. We are talking about native Qi 2 support. Just think of it as the new universal standard for magnetic wireless charging. It's basically the industry's answer to Apple's MagSafe, but for everybody. So no more fumbling around in the dark trying to find that sweet spot on your charging pad. And this is a really big deal. It means you won't need a special case anymore. The magnets would be built right into the phones themselves, allowing for that super satisfying snap-on connection with chargers and accessories across the entire S26 lineup. Okay, so let's just step back and look at the new picture all these leaks are painting. The story has definitely changed quite a bit from where we started. So what began as a predictable update has totally morphed into a much more compelling story. We have a potentially bigger Plus model, a faster charging Ultra, and a cool magnetic personality for everyone. The one big mystery that's still out there is whether that new 12-megapixel zoom camera will also trickle down to the base and Plus models. Of course, none of this is confirmed yet. We are still deep in the rumor phase, and things can always change. But this timeline suggests we're getting closer and closer to the truth, with an official announcement from Samsung expected around late February 2026. And all of this leaves us with one final big thought. By blurring the lines between the Plus and the Ultra models, is Samsung creating its most compelling lineup in years? Or are they just setting the stage for a really confusing buying experience where the best choice isn't so clear anymore? I guess we'll have to wait until that expected February launch to find out for sure.